Hey everyone, it is Danny and welcome to this update video on what is happening across the tropics and specifically in the vicinity of the Caribbean. And so I hope that you're all having a good day thus far. And so we'll be taking a look at what is currently happening, what is expected in terms of the rainfall across some areas, as well as current conditions out there. And so before I go into details, please do subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you never miss an important update on the tropics. Alright, and so let us return to that satellite imagery, and we're seeing here that there is quite a bit going on across some areas. We see a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity extended across sections of northern South America as well as the Lesser Antilles, especially the Windward Islands. And so just in the vicinity of Trinidad and Tobago, so let's take a closer look at the region. We can see here where there is quite a bit going on in terms of that blob of convection, and so all that rainfall activity, that continuous rainfall activity, is likely to be a problem because persistent heavy rainfall can result in flash flooding, especially across low-lying areas. And it doesn't take a whole lot of rainfall to actually result in all of that inundation. Just an inch or 2 inches can be enough for some areas to experience some level of flooding. But taking a look at the rest of the Caribbean, let's go a bit more to the west here. We're seeing that we're definitely seeing the development of quite a bit of showers and thunderstorms across sections of the western Caribbean, just north of eastern Honduras. And so for the rest of the region, though, for parts of Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, we're not seeing too much happening across those areas, and there is some dry air there, likely helping to suppress all that shower and thunderstorm activity. And now let's go ahead and take a look at what the various models are expecting in terms of total accumulated precipitation, and this is in inches. So as we head from the green shades to those blue and purple shades, there is an increase in how much rainfall is expected, and this is between now and Saturday. So those totals are not what are expected within just one single day. It's between now and Saturday. And so let's take a look at what the GFS is expecting. So we see that the areas across the Caribbean expected to receive the most rainfall include the Southern Caribbean and also Trinidad and Tobago. We see that lilac shade, which is indicating up to around 2 inches or more. And so that is quite significant. Again, this is not all expected in just one day, but continuous heavy rainfall can result in that flash flooding, especially across low-lying areas. And then as for the Euro, so Euro is expecting somewhat of a similar scenario here, where the Southern Caribbean is expected to receive the most rainfall across the region between now and Saturday, with the majority of it being just outside the region in the vicinity of Trinidad and Tobago. And then it's a similar story again for the icon. So we're seeing this consistency among the various models here, that the Southern Caribbean will be experiencing the most rainfall over the next few days. So we see the Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, ABC Islands, and also going west towards the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras. We see those lilac shades there indicating up to 2 inches of rainfall. Meanwhile, the Greater Antilles are not expected to receive too much rainfall, so it's the Southern Caribbean that is likely to receive the majority of what is expected as we're going to be progressing into the next couple of days. And so, guys, please take the necessary precautions and stay safe. Listen to your local officials and know your evacuation routes in the case of any major event that is anticipated, because this is not something to take lightly. Floods result in a lot of fatalities, especially when persons are not prepared or they take those unnecessary risks, such as crossing flooded roadways. So it's best to turn around, don't drown. And so, guys, now let's go ahead and take a look at the current conditions out there. And we're looking at this water vapor loop, and we are seeing here that we have these different colors. So those yellows and oranges indicate dry air. Meanwhile, we have those whites and the greens that indicate moisture. So where that moisture is where you'd find that shower and thunderstorm activity. It's the opposite for the dry air. Dry air helps to suppress rainfall activity because it's more of stable conditions there. So it's unlikely that there will be any development of showers and thunderstorms across an area that has a lot of dry dry air. And so that is what we're seeing across the Caribbean. Notice how I said that there is the development of showers and thunderstorms across some sections of the northwestern Caribbean and also in the vicinity of Trinidad. Notice that there isn't much dry air there. So the dry air is really extended across majority of the Caribbean, especially the central Caribbean, and that is why there isn't too much happening across the area, just some spots of clouds with maybe a little stray shower or so, nothing too significant right now across the region. And then looking at the sea surface temperatures, again, we're having that cool down, and this is going to be the trend as we progress into winter for the northern hemisphere. So the Caribbean is of course still warm. We're seeing 28 Celsius across the eastern Caribbean, but headed more towards the central and western Caribbean, we're seeing that 29 Celsius isotherm. And then as for areas outside the Caribbean, again, we're definitely having that cool down. We see 26, 25 Celsius as we progress more to the north. Also across the Gulf of Mexico, there is some major cooling down happening with some areas having as low as 20 degrees Celsius. And so guys, as we're just a few days away from the official end of the hurricane season, it isn't likely that we'll be seeing another storm. At least we're not seeing, our models are expecting that. So it looks as though this hurricane season is going to be closing off with the last storm being Nicole. And so after all of this time, especially a very active September and October, after a very quiet July and August, it's going to be a big sigh of relief for many persons. But unfortunately, it's not just tropical cyclones that we have to be aware of, because look at all this activity that is expected that can do a similar damage in terms of what the rainfall does in a tropical cyclone. And so in terms of what happened this hurricane season, there have been 14 named storms, 8 of which became hurricanes and 2 which became major hurricanes. And of course, those major hurricanes were Ian and Fiona, which caused massive destruction. So Ian devastated parts of the Caribbean and also the US, and then Fiona brought some massive destruction to sections of the northeastern Caribbean and also all the way up into Canada. So those were 2 major storms, and this goes back to what I said even before we had that ramp up in activity during the near the peak of the hurricane season, where I mentioned that it doesn't take a whole lot of activity for us to see some major destruction. And so that is why I'm going to be keeping you guys updated on all of this. And I'm not strictly about tropical cyclones, because there are these other rainfall events that are quite significant. And so guys, that is really it for this update video in terms of what is happening out there. And so again, if you're in Trinidad and Tobago, the Windward Islands, parts of northern Guyana, and also parts of northern Venezuela, then it is likely that you'll be seeing some increased rainfall as we progress into this weekend. So please take all the necessary precautions and stay safe. And if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments, and you can also share your thoughts there. And of course, remember to always be weatherwise.